Hello, everybody. Good morning. Andrew Rogers here for TST Total Sports Talk. Thank you very much for joining me. As always, it's a pleasure to have you along. Tonight on the program, or this morning on the program, TST Total Sports Talk, TSTs, we got the NHL playoffs, we got MLB action, NBA action, and we're going to tee up tonight, including the beginning of the Ontario Hockey League playoffs. Let's get straight to it, shall we? So last night, Maple Leaf fans, it was a rough night for the Toronto Maple Leafs. They dropped a 5-4 decision to the Washington Capitals. TJ Oshie's second of the game was the game-winning goal. Washington led 4-1, though, after the first period. They held on for the lead. This was a tough one for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I didn't feel like they played their worst game, but it was by far their worst game of this series. The other three games go to overtime. They play extremely well in those games, as a matter of fact. But yeah, they didn't look very good out of the gate, and the lead was just an insurmountable climb for the Toronto Maple Leafs. For example, the fifth and eventual game-winning goal by TJ Oshie. What a cluster of unknown proportion at the blue line. I don't know what was going on with those guys and why they couldn't get the puck out, or why it was brought back in, or why TJ Oshie was wide open on the other side of the ice when you had four guys at the blue line. I don't know what happened there, but it was not pretty, to say the least. It was not pretty, and it eventually turned into be the game winner. When Austin Matthews scores the 5-4 goal, and you think, okay, all right, we're within one. That's fantastic, but they could have been tied if it wasn't for that fumble or whatever you want to call it at the blue line. Just a really unfortunate situation. Leafs got to find themselves in a good spot, though. 2-2 against the President's Trophy winners. That's a plus in my books. Also, last night in the action, so we had a shutout on the ice. We had Ottawa taking a commanding 3-1 series lead. They won at Boston 1-0. They have a 3-1 series lead now. Bobby Ryan had his second consecutive game-winning goal. Craig Anderson, massive game for the Ottawa Senators, 22 saves for the shutout. Minnesota avoided elimination. They won 2-0 at St. Louis. St. Louis now leads that series 3-1. Devin Dubnyk with a huge bounce-back game. He finally shows up in the series. He had a 28-save shutout. Charlie Coyle with the game winner in that one. And also, we had our first team advance in the Stanley Cup playoffs this year. The Anaheim Ducks beat the Calgary Flames in Calgary 3-1. Anaheim wins 4-0, advances to the second round. John Gibson, 48 hours after being mercilessly pulled at the hands of the Anaheim Ducks, and Calgary just, it's unfortunate for John Gibson that he was pulled in the first place, but he bounces back in a huge way. He had 36 saves for the win. Unfortunately, on the other hand, Calgary Flames, Brian Elliott, the first goal he lets in after only 3 shots is just atrocious. And Calgary's got no choice. They summon Chad Johnson the rest of the way. He stops 20 of 21. Unfortunately, they fall short. All right. So here's what we know. Everything in the Eastern Conference: New York, Montreal tied at 2. Ottawa over Boston 3-1. Leafs and Caps tied at 2. Pittsburgh, Columbus 3-1. Pittsburgh. Over on the west side now, Nashville up 3-0. St. Louis up 3-1. Ducks advance of 4-0 sweep over the Calgary Flames, and the Oilers and the Sharks tied at 2. So here's what's going on tonight. Montreal, New York, game number 5. That's at 7 p.m. on CBC. We have the New York Rangers at the we have the Columbus Blue Jackets at the Pittsburgh Penguins. That game is at 7 p.m. on Sportsnet. Chicago's in Nashville to face off against the Predators, looking to avoid elimination there. That game gets started at 8 p.m. on Sportsnet 360. And San Jose at Edmonton at 10:30 over on Sportsnet. Toronto Blue Jays last night. Of all the things that have gone wrong in the season, they finally managed to get something right. Blue Jays score 3 in the bottom of the second inning, and they hang on. They don't allow a run. They don't look terrible, and they end up shutting out the Boston Red Sox 3-0. Francisco Liriano, Joe Biagini, Jason Grilli, and Roberto Osuna combine on the 6th hitter for the Toronto Blue Jays. They win 3-0. They are in tough, though, this evening as they get Chris Sale and he goes up against Marco Estrada from the Toronto Blue Jays. That game's at Rogers Center. That game starts at 7 o'clock, first pitch. All right, over to the NBA's association last night. We had the Washington Wizards over the Atlanta Hawks, 109-101. Washington leads that series now 2-0. John Wall had 32, Bradley Beal 31. They take a 2-0 series lead. OKC, Oklahoma City Thunder, dropped a decision to the Houston Rockets, 115-111. Houston now leads that series 2-0. Russell Westbrook had 51 points, 10 rebounds, 13 assists in the loss. He has the most points in a playoff triple-double. Congratulations, Russ Westbrook. James Harden had 35 points in the win for the Houston Rockets in the final game last night in the NBA. Golden State winning 110 over Portland, 81. Golden State now leads that series 2-0. Steph Curry led the way, 19 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists. Sorry, but Damian Lillard, where's this amazing Trailblazers effort that you were talking about before the series got underway? Guess you weren't expecting that, pal? All right, let's move on. So tonight, in the NBA's association, we got the Milwaukee Bucks at home against the Toronto Raptors. Game number 3 of the best-of-7 series first round. This game gets tipped off at 8 o'clock in Milwaukee. Other association games, the Cavs are in Indiana for game number 3 against the Pacers, and the Spurs are at Memphis for game number 3 of their series. Both those teams lead 2-0 in those series, Cavs and Spurs. Over on the Ontario Hockey League scene, that playoff round gets underway. The Final Four tonight. So we know that on Friday in Erie, the Owen Sound Attack will be there for game number 1 of their Western Conference series. That game will get started at 7 p.m. And the Peterborough Petes and the Mississauga Steelheads get their playoff round started tonight in Peterborough. 7:05 is the puck drop in that one, game 1 of the Eastern Conference Final. And finally, other sports news. Former New England Patriots tight end Aaron Hernandez unfortunately committed suicide inside of his jail cell while he was serving a life sentence. He is dead at 27 years old. Just a tragic end to what has been a absolute tumultuous turn for what was a former standout tight end on the New England Patriots. He was an absolute beast, forming a 1-2 punch with Rob Gronkowski in the height of his seasons with the New England Patriots. Just anything off the field just ended up crippling this kid, and he just unfortunately maybe had enough. It's a sad day for him, and it's a sad day for the NFL community as they mourn the death of Aaron Hernandez at 27. And finally, Hockey Canada announced its first 18 players to its roster for the upcoming IHF World Championship Tournament at the conclusion of the NHL playoffs. Mark Scheifele and Nathan McKinnon, just a couple of notables on the first 18 players to be named to the roster. Andrew Rogers for TST, Total Sports Talk, reminding you, keep your head up and keep your stick on the ice. I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode, number 4. Check me out on YouTube and Facebook.com/AndrewRogers99. Rogers, out.